Hello students, let us learn General Science for class 3 from the book Science Squad. Today we are going to learn chapter 8, Water and Weather. In this chapter, we are going to discuss about the different forms of water, solution, water cycle, weather, seasons and climate. Let us begin the chapter. Nature has gifted man with water. Ponds, lakes, rivers and oceans contain water. On the other hand, bodies of all vegetables, fruits, plants and animals also contain water. There are two sources of water, natural and artificial. Artificial are made by humans. Natural sources of water are rainwater, oceans, rivers, lakes, streams and ponds. Man-made or artificial sources of water are dams, wells, tube wells, hand pumps, etc. Let us learn the characteristics of water. Pure water has no color and we say colorless. Pure water has no smell and hence we say it is odorless. Pure water has no taste and hence we say it is tasteless. But we can make it sweeter by adding sugar or salty by adding salt. The water flows from higher level to a lower level. It takes the shape of the vessel in which it is poured. That is, water does not have any fixed shape. Solution. When a substance dissolves in water, it is said to be soluble in water. For example, salt in water and sugar in water. The substance that dissolve is called a solute. That is, salt and sugar are called solute. And the substance in which it is dissolved is called a solvent. That is, water. Water is a solvent. The mixture of solute and the solvent forms a solution. Water can dissolve only limited amount of solids. A substance that does not dissolve in water is called insoluble in water. Sand is insoluble in water. Similarly, oil is insoluble in water. Let us discuss the different forms of water. Water can exist in solid, liquid or gaseous form. Solid form of water we'll call it as a ice. Liquid form we'll call it as a water. And gaseous form we'll call it as a vapor or steam. Let us see how the conversions of different forms of water takes place. When we put a tray of water in a freezer, water is turned into ice. That is, liquid will changes into ice, solid. If we put some cubes outside, they soon melt into water. That is, solid to liquid. When we heat the water, it changes into vapors. That is, the gaseous form. Ice, liquid in the water by cooling. Liquid when cools becomes ice. When it is heated, it becomes a gas. Ice when it heat becomes water. The process of change of liquid water into water vapor is called evaporation. The process of change of water vapor into liquid water is called condensation. Liquid into gaseous by heating we'll call it as a evaporation. Water vapor into liquid we'll call it as a condensation. Let us discuss the water cycle in nature. In summer, the heat of the sun causes a lot of water to evaporate from lakes, ponds, rivers, and oceans. The water vapor rises high and condenses on dust particles in cool air. These becomes a tiny droplet to form clouds. You can see the picture. Water rises up, water vapor because of heat of the sun. It forms a clouds which with having tiny droplets. On further cooling, the tiny droplets of water combines to form a big, larger, heavier and fall as a rain. The rainwater go back to the rivers, ponds and lakes through natural runoff. This continuous cycle, which repeats year after year, is known as water cycle. Weather. Weather changes every day. The weather may be hot, cool, pleasant or rainy. Generally, the early mornings and nights are cooler than the day. It affects us in every way from food to clothes. In India, April to June are very hot, while December to February are very cold. Let us see what factors affects the weather. Weather depends on the sun, wind, the clouds and the rain. The sun. In summer, the sun shines for a longer time and hence we feel hot. In winter, the sun shines for a shorter time and so it is cold. The sun makes the weather hot or cold. Wind. The sun heats the ground and air around it becomes warm. Warm air moves along the earth's surface and we call moving air as wind. When wind blows gently, we call it as a breeze. When strong wind blows, we call it as a storms. Hot, dusty winds in summer are called loo or heat wave. Clouds. On a cloudy day, the sun rays do not reach the earth and hence it is not very hot. However, the clouds brings us the rain. Rain. Rain cools the atmosphere. It is good for crops. Too much of rain causes floods. Floods will destroy the crops, houses and animals. Many animals and insects breed during these days. Most of them are harmful to us. Seasons and climate. When the weather condition remains constant for months, we call it as a season. There are three seasons in our country, India, namely winter, summer and monsoon. Nearly constant weather conditions of a place, we'll call it as a climate of a place. For example, we say climate of North India is cool, while that of South India it is warm. Weather forecast. Many of our activities are affected by changes in weather. Advanced information about the weather is a forecast. Newspapers, radios and televisions give us weather reports. It helps us to know the weather for the next day. Weather forecast is important to farmers, aeroplane pilots and navigators of ship. Let us have a chapter recap. Pure water has no taste, no color or smell. Ice cubes melt in water, which evaporates on heating. Change of water vapors into water is called condensation. Water from oceans turns into clouds. Clouds rain in distant places, and water comes to the ocean back through the rivers. This is called water cycle. In cold countries, there is snowfall instead of rainfall. Fog, frost, and dew are examples of condensation of water vapors. Weather depends on sun, wind, cloud, and rain. Many of our activities are affected by changes in weather. This ends chapter 8.